I'm going to attempt the Mel Gibson, Kevin Costner thing of actually acting and directing and shooting at the same time. So I'm Mary Scott. I usually shoot these webinar videos for Aegis Professional Services. This workshop is about online video marketing. Even though that's what it's about, I'm not going to show you any videos because everybody's got a phone or a desktop or a tablet and you guys have seen videos and you know why they work, because otherwise you wouldn't be watching them all the time. Okay, so when you or your client is thinking about doing video, the first thing you need to know is, who's the audience? Who's the audience? The next thing you need to know is, where do they hang out? Where do they go to get their information, to find out whatever it is they need to find out to get their customers? Where do they go? Where do they hang out? And thirdly, how do they like to get their information? Your audience. Are they old people who like to get it in magazine ads? Are they 20-somethings who like to see it on Twitter? Who is your audience? Where do they like to get their information? And if you think that video will reach your audience in one of those places where they hang out, that's when you decide to actually proceed to do video, because video isn't always the best way to market something. So then, if you've decided that video is something you want to do, then you need to know, what do you want your audience to know first? What do you want them to know first? Then, what do you want them to know today? Just today. And most importantly, what do you want them to do? So what do you want them to do is the call to action. The very best videos have one point and one call to action. Some clients have a consumer audience, they have a wholesale audience, and then they have an industry audience. And the way the information is conveyed to those three audiences is different. The industry audience is one of these presentations at a conference that's then uploaded onto somebody's website. To the consumer, it's got to be 30 seconds and 2 bullet points, and that's got to be the message. So you've decided you want to do a video and you have a pretty good idea of what you want to say and who do you want to reach. Next thing you need to do is think about, are you going to do this yourself or are you going to hire a videographer? Now sometimes for social media, it works really well to do things on the fly. It's got that immediate, live, authentic feel to it. When you're doing things for social media and you're shooting with your phone, don't hold the phone straight up and down. Hold the phone like this. This is video mode. This is landscape is video mode. If you're ever shooting photographs that are going to end up in a video, make sure you shoot them landscape, because you can shoot all the photos you want this way, portrait, they're going to get squashed with nothing on the side for video. But generally speaking, if you want to get a professional message across to people and you don't want the tech to interfere with the message, you hire a professional. So how do you know how to hire a professional? What questions do you ask? What questions do you think you would ask somebody if you wanted to? How would you vet a videographer?
Have you done this before?
Have you done this before? That's very good. What else?
What do you charge?
Well, what do you charge? I'll get to that one. You want to see a demo reel. Now, what if the videographer hasn't done anything that is similar to your industry?
It's a quality work that he does.
It's quality work. It's quality work. Okay, that's good. My first question to a videographer, where do you shoot? Do you shoot in a studio or on location? The expensive answer is we shoot in the studio. The less expensive, and by the way, better for social media, answer is we shoot on location. Because your potential clients, your clients' potential clients, want to meet you where they will actually physically meet you when they want to come and do business. And that means at your location. Even if it's the coffee shop where you usually meet clients. You arrange off hours or something and you shoot your video there. Because videos online are an individual interaction. It's one-on-one. There isn't a crowd there. There's one person watching just one person on the video. We tend to shoot close-ups because you kind of want the relationship between the video and the person watching to feel like a real conversation, which means that the size proportions are comfortable. So on location or in a studio, I would go with on location if it's particularly for social media. Ask them what kind of microphones do they use. If they're just going to use the on-camera mic, if they're just going to shoot with a phone without a microphone, just FYI, the difference between professional video and amateur video is the quality of the audio. I highly recommend videographers who use lavalier wireless microphones. So you see this little thing is not that obtrusive. And I can turn around and there's no wires. And I can walk around and I'm not attached to the camera. And the only audio that's going into the camera is what's coming directly. Wireless or lavalier mics, much better than on the camera mic. Oh, here's a good one. Do you need a script? Scripts are great if you're doing a television commercial. If this is going to go on the air on television with actors and background and that kind of stuff, you're essentially writing a little movie. You're writing a 30-second movie. And that has a script and it's got frames, setups, and things like that. And that's what works on television. What works in YouTube, what works in social media, is not what works in television. You can use that spokesperson on television. They're perfectly acceptable in that field. If you put a spokesperson on somebody's website, people are suspicious. People think, oh, this is a little slick. You know, who really runs this company? Is this a real company? Is this product real? Does it do what they say it does? Because I don't see real people telling me about it. What the expectations in social media are authentic, authentic, authentic. It's real, it's sincere, it's authentic. That's how social media works. That's what people have come to expect in the online world. In the online world, people think that they are talking to each other across the back fence. They haven't gotten dressed up to go out to the theater to see a special presentation. They're talking to each other across the back fence. They're talking to somebody across the grocery counter. And the information needs to be gathered in that kind of a situation. It's that kind of a message in order to be effective in social media. You think you need a script? Who needs a script? Why?
You've got to have a guideline. Otherwise it's just
Guideline.
a flow of,
Guideline, not script. Teleprompter? Social media?
yeah.
No. We're very sophisticated in the 21st century. We've been watching video all of our lives, most of us, and we can tell when people are reading. We can tell when they're lying. And we can tell when something's been edited. So part of the drilling down to find out what the message is, that one call to action, is to make sure that you can succinctly convey that message in a minute or less. Hi, this is who I am. I'm proud of this company for these reasons, and when you need this, call me. Here's Susie. She answers the phone. And you will meet me or my colleague Joe over here.
I
The person who's doing the speaking should be whoever is representing the company. For social media, this is different. You know, if you're doing a presentation at a conference, if you're doing something on television, it's very different. But for social media, it should be whoever is most passionate about the subject. And it doesn't matter whether it's an old male voice or a young female voice. It has to do with the passion about it. And interestingly enough, narrations don't work as well as people talking from the heart one after another. You know, if you have to narrate the story rather than just show people, that's a different way of telling the story. And narrations don't work as well in social media. When you look directly into the lens, you are talking directly to someone, right in their eyes, right in their face. So if I'm talking right to you, or if I'm talking right to you and conveying that particular message, if that's how you want the message conveyed, that's what you do. And if you want it to be informative, you know, we have this great scientist who's talking about this thing he's invented, then it's off to one side where it's being an interview process. Or the other side where someone is interviewing you and you're talking about this, here's the product, and then potentially you can put a little logo or something or copy of the product off in that space. Have a long conversation and see if you can come up with the one tagline for them. This is a company that does this for these people under these circumstances. As succinctly as possible. You know, if there are 3 things they do, then there are 3 separate sentences, and there might in fact be 3 separate videos. If you don't grab them in the first 10 seconds, you've lost them. And you know what? Honestly, it's more about grabbing your intended audience. There are going to be a lot of people watching these videos who aren't your intended audience, and if you lose them, so what? It doesn't cost you anything to have those videos up there running. But the intended audience, you got to grab in the first 10 at the most seconds. That's absolutely true. All right, here we go. How much did it cost? People need to know what the budget is, okay? The longer the conversation about what it is you want, how you want to do it, get it really drilled down so that you can shoot it and edit it quickly, that's going to be the most cost effective. You want a clear message, and you want to be able to do it quickly and edit it quickly and get it back to the customer. The kind of stuff that most small businesses do is the sort of thing that I do for $150 an hour for shooting and $75 an hour for editing. You know, people need to tell you what their prices are. There is sort of an industry standard out there, which at one point was $1,000 per finished minute. Now, to me, that's kind of over the top, particularly for social media kinds of things. If it's, you know, if it's going to be a big presentation at the Canon convention, yeah, it's going to cost you a few $1,000s because we've got to use better equipment and we've got to use better lighting, and we may pull in some actors, and you know, cost goes up. But for the usual thing that somebody wants for social media, an intro video for your website, something that you can, we're bringing out a new product and let's just show them our Kickstarter campaign. It shouldn't cost that much. And you can talk to your videographer about what's their hourly for shooting, what's their hourly for editing. Who owns the files? This is real important. Make sure that you own your files. This is supposed to be a work for hire, which means once they're paid, you own the copyright exclusively. Now, a lot of video companies, including mine, will ask politely, if you like what I did, may I use that stuff to advertise my company? May I put your video on my website as well? And if in fact you're a happy customer, there's no reason in the world to say no, because you get all that extra advertising, you get all that extra SEO. The more places your video is, the more it's going to be out there working for you. which is why you would upload it to YouTube. You would upload it directly to Facebook, not just use the link. You would upload it to Instagram. You would upload it to Twitter, as long as, you know, the more places it is and the more shares you get, the better your reach is going to be. And the more cost-effective your video is going to be, because you've already paid for it. You might as well use it. Just get it out there and use it. Now, the other thing is that most video companies will put something up on YouTube or Vimeo for you. And that's a way that you can embed it in your own website or your client's website. Make sure you get your files. Get them on a flash drive. Get them on a DVD. But get them in an MPEG-4 or MOV file format. Okay? If your stuff is up on YouTube and you don't own it in another format, YouTube is a flash file. It's a Shockwave flash file, and you can't edit it. If you wanted to use that footage again, if you wanted to tweak it, change a phone number, do something else, you can't do anything with what's on YouTube already. You need that original. And when I burn DVDs for clients, I will do the TS, the regular playable DVD file, but I will put the actual file into ROM. So you get both files on the same disk. And who owns the copyright? Well, you own the copyright, and let people know. Everything is born copywritten. This has been, like, for the last 15 years or something, they had changed the copyright laws. So things are born copywritten. You don't actually have to go through the process of filing forms and sending out notices. You can put the little C and the date and the name of the copyright holder at the end of the video.
Without doing anything else?
Without doing anything else, just listed as copywritten. The cost of litigating copyrights is horrific. So it's one of those things that kind of the cost of doing business. You assume people aren't going to use your stuff unless it's really, really, really good, at which point everybody's going to know it's yours anyway. And who doesn't love that kind of advertising? A real quick bit about YouTube. YouTube is wonderful. YouTube is the first video search engine that Google uses because Google owns it. If you've got stuff on YouTube, it's going to come up higher in the search engines than on another site. When you upload to YouTube, there's a couple of things. One, make sure you make the decision consciously whether or not you want to allow ads when your video is played. You can check, no, do not. I don't want to make any money off this video. Do not run ads. And that does protect you, particularly if you're in the kind of industry where you've got some big name players as competition. You know, if you're a little tea company, you don't want Coca-Cola ads running on your video. And unless you check that button about ads, you're going to have the competition on your YouTube stuff. The other thing, when you upload the video to YouTube, make sure that the file is named appropriately. You know, SusiesBestHamburgers.com video. Because the only thing the search engine is going to see is that name. Okay, in terms of where that video is. It's always good to name your video appropriately. The next thing is when you're putting the description into YouTube, the very, very, very first thing you put in the description is a link back to your website. You need to be able to let them get through the call to action. You want them to contact you. You want them to take action. You make sure that there's a link, the first line of the description, that they can click on and take that action. Okay, the next thing that you put in the description are any keywords that have to do with your video. One of the videos that I did for the whiteboard seminars was Tom Swip from Swip Systems, and the video was called Taking an App from Idea to the Phone.mov. And the first line in the description was swipsystems.com. And the second line was AegisProfessionalServices.com, because they're the sponsors. The next thing, it was Tom Swip of Swip Systems discusses how to create an application and the process for getting it onto a phone. So it can be very short. People used to talk about in the newspaper business having everything above the fold. You try not to have people have to scroll down for stuff. So if there's a YouTube video and the description you get, like, you can have a real long description, but those first 2 or 3 lines are the first things that people are going to see. And unless they're really, 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 really interested, they're not going to read all the rest of it. It's good for the web spiders, but it's not necessarily good for your audience. They're going to click on that link and take it forward from there. I put stuff on YouTube for clients to look. The other thing, YouTube has 3 little possibilities. You can make a video public, you can make it unlisted, you can make it private. If it's unlisted, only the people who have the link can see it. So if you're doing a review copy for a client or something like that, you can upload it to YouTube and make sure you call it unlisted, so that only they, if they need to share the link with other people for various comment and collaboration, that's fine. So the keyword listing, don't do more than 4 or 5 keywords because YouTube frowns on that. You start with a conversation. Who's your audience? What do you want them to know? What do you want them to know today?
Does it have to be all written up?
Nothing has to be written unless you're the kind of person who feels better when things are written down. You have to have an outline, whether that's in your head or on paper or on your tablet, doesn't matter. But you need to have a clear idea of where you want to go, what you want to say, and what you want your audience to do. What's that call to action? That is absolutely imperative. So that's where it starts. Who's your audience? What do you want them to know? And what do you want them to do with that information?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you.